Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live Argentina discussion. This time, we are going to talk about Angel Di Maria's Argentina career, the top moments, the goals, the tournaments, the finals, and we are also going to be previewing the Olympics, which start in less than 24 hours. We're going to take your comments, your questions. As always, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. My name is Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com. I'm joined by the one and only Osvaldo Godoy of Mundo Albiceleste.com. Osvaldo, how are you?
I'm doing well. Very happy to join you in this special edition, talking a little bit about Di Maria. We'll talk also a little bit about tomorrow's game of Argentina, first match of the Olympics. But what a career of Di Maria in the national team. Reports say that he will play one more year for Benfica at least, but with the national team, he closes an incredible journey. And I want to ask you at first if you would include Di Maria in a top five of the best players with the Argentina national team.
Yes, I would. Right off the bat, right out of the gate, I absolutely would. I do not hesitate by saying that. I think Di Maria is a top five easily, maybe even top three, depending on who you ask, all time for Argentina. And I'm obviously including Messi and Maradona. So that's how high I rank Di Maria. I don't know about you. I don't know if you do. I'll ask the chat, everybody in the chat as well. Do you rank him in the top five for Argentina all time as well?
Top five for sure. I also have that internal debate if I would include him maybe fourth or third. The truth is that he has been has influenced Argentina in such key moments that it's very difficult not to include him in that top five, maybe top three. We know that it's Messi, Maradona, the first two, and then yeah, Argentina had incredible players in the national team, Batistuta, even Riquelme,
Passarella.
Kempes, Pasarela. We can also include Dibu Martinez, who was a key player in the last couple of trophies of Argentina. But Di Maria, we're reading it right now, and Di Maria scored in 4 of 7 finals with Argentina. How crazy is that?
That's not a normal statistic. And then I've said it, I've posted it a couple of times on Twitter. I think maybe we've said it here. Di Maria for me is one of the most, if not the most underrated player of his generation. Of the last 20, 25 years, I think Di Maria is easily the most underrated, at least in his position, of the last 20, 25 years. As always, everybody, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We do have a lively crowd here. As always, mixed memorabilia. Angel Di Maria, a true goat. Paro Miguel, Fideo, an absolute legend. Varun, I know Varun's from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. BC, repping with the 3 trophies, my friend. And BC, excuse me, saying Messi, Maradona, Kempes, Passarella, Di Maria. I mean, that's a strong top five. Mario Kempes and Passarella as well.
Yeah, and then you have a player, for example, like Di Stefano, who was
Yeah,
incredible, but with the Argentina national team, he was never able even to play a big tournament. I don't know if you knew this, Roy, but he was never able to play a big tournament. He ended up playing one for Spain.
Spain,
Uh, yeah,
Spain and Venezuela or Colombia as well. I think he represented.
well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Just a lot of issues there, but again, another great player for Argentina. One of the, if I'm not mistaken, one of the stadiums in of Real Madrid is Freddy Stefano, or the training center or something like that. Imagine how good of a player he was. But we're talking about players in the national team and how good was Di Maria for the Argentina national team. Yeah, we talk about Messi, Maradona, but then most, like, there's many people that would include Di Maria in that top three.
of course, of course. I mean, Di Stefano, you're going back obviously a couple of generations, but an absolute great for Real Madrid. I mean, we mentioned Passarella, we mentioned Kempes. You can also talk. I mean, we mentioned Batistuta as well, right? You have greats like Zanetti, of course. There's a lot of good players, a lot of good players. Very rich history when it comes to the national team. And let's look at the chat. This is a good question. How much is a Benfica authentic jersey going to cost 20 years from now for a Di Maria one? Quite a lot, my friend. Stephen, watching us from Portland, Oregon, on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us. BC from NYC, of course, as always. Thank you for the love and support, everybody. Suraj from Dallas. All right, let's see. JCDT from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, not too far away from Toronto. So thank you everybody for joining us, whether it's early morning, late night, late evening, afternoon, whatever it might be. We are here to discuss Angel Di Maria's career. As you see here, now noted down below, Di Maria scored in 4 of the 7 finals with Argentina. And just a quick note. Seba's fine. Seba's doing great. He's with his family. He's just presently on holiday, on vacation. So that's why he's unable to join us. Paro Miguel, Nigeria, 3:38 a.m. Thank you for spending your midnight or your your early morning with us. All right, now we're talking about Di Maria. If we look at his career, he made his debut with Argentina in 2008 versus Paraguay, if I'm not mistaken. I think many of us have been fortunate enough to have seen Di Maria throughout his entire career with Argentina. And I remember when he first broke out with the national team, I had a lot of, maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know if I was the only one. I saw resemblances in Kili Gonzalez and Christian Gonzalez, another player who played for Rosario Central, out of Rosario. And, I thought, hey, because I like Kili Gonzalez. He was one of my favorite players. And then I never would have thought Di Maria would have had the career that he had, going on to win the Under-20 World Cup and going on to win the Olympics. And it was actually the Olympics that really got things going in terms of the history of Di Maria scoring in finals. This was a big one because this meant that Argentina won back-to-back Olympic gold medals in 2008.
Yeah, because we won it in Athens, and then in Beijing, in Peking, in the Olympics of 2008 against Nigeria. I remember being a kid and watching that final. It was, if I'm not mistaken, like 1 a.m. in Argentina. And it was a tough game because always against Nigeria and against Nigeria and against an under-23 of Nigeria, it's tough. But Di Maria, with that first cheap goal in a final, gave us the victory 1-0.
Yeah, that was a big one. And that was late kickoff here on the East Coast. I remember it was maybe 11 p.m. or midnight around that time here as well. And it's never easy against Nigeria. Argentina's played them several times. Even at the Olympics in 1996, the gold medal game, Nigeria won. Argentina won silver in that one. Crespo was part of that team. It was a very, very good Argentina squad. And yeah, it meant that Argentina won back-to-back. That chip goal, I remember celebrating, screaming. I don't remember if I woke anybody up, but it was a great game. It really, really was. Let's look at some of the chat here. Nick's memorabilia. It's 3:40 a.m. in the UK. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Kili Gonzalez, a great game. You're at that match in 1996 in Atlanta. Is your age showing? It depends. And if it is, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I remember watching bits and pieces of that game. If I'm being honest, I don't remember the whole match. I ended up watching the whole match a couple of years later. But that must have been a good experience for you at the stadium, even though I know Argentina obviously did not win gold. A question here, actually, we could kind of throw this in very quickly. Who will be the next Di Maria for Argentina? Honestly, I know a lot of people are betting on different players. If he continues this way, I'm going to bet on Garnacho. But I know a couple of people are betting on Matias Soule as well. I don't know about you, Osvaldo.
Yeah, it depends. Are we talking about a player that is going to be very influential in these key moments, in these key matches? Are we talking about a player who can play as a right wing, as a left wing? Are we talking only about lefty players? It depends. If we're talking only about lefty players, maybe Matias Soule, maybe Lucas Romero. But I think Garnacho in that left wing position has a lot of future.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, right? In what sense are we talking about exactly? And Mixed Memorabilia is putting it another way as well. Of course, there's never going to be another Di Maria, but I think more of Master Azar's question was maybe more of like maybe who might become that left winger for Argentina or that right winger for Argentina. There's never going to be another Di Maria for Argentina scoring in the finals. The amount of finals that he scored in, uh, it's ridiculous. Four
Yeah.
finals in total.
And you want to know something? In that 2008, he scored in the final, but sometimes we forget that in the quarterfinals against the Netherlands, we tied
Yeah,
1-1 in regular time, and in extra time, it was Di Maria who scored the winning goal with a
you're right.
pass, with an assist of Lionel Messi.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful assist as well. I remember covering that for Mundo, and the matches were like 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. over here, and we'd wake up and watch it. But yeah, it all started in Beijing at the Olympics. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, from 2008 till 2021, that's what I'm doing some very, very quick math, but that's 13 years, if I'm not mistaken. Who would have known 13 years later? That's what we would get at the Copa America final. Let's look at some of the chat. MMH is saying Sule. Paro Miguel is saying Matias Sule, but Sule is not as pacey as Di Maria. MMH saying Garnacho is different. So I guess it depends on who you're on the criteria, right? On the criteria, and Masa Azar saying maybe Garnacho has potential.
No
Now,
Nico Gonzalez.
not from me,
I
not from me.
I know this chat doesn't like that much Nico Gonzalez. He played a great final. He scored a goal in the final. He was offside,
Yeah,
but he's still young.
he's still actually, yeah, he's still early to mid 20s, if I'm not mistaken, Nicolas Gonzalez. But a different kind of player than Di Maria, maybe more of a defensive winger, so to speak, than Di Maria, or even Garnacho and Sule or anyone else. Now, we had to wait a solid 13 years after that goal versus Nigeria in Beijing for Di Maria to score, for anybody to score really another goal in a final for Argentina. Let's not forget, this was massive because prior to Di Maria's goal versus Brazil in the Copa America in 2021, Argentina's last goal ever in a final was in 2005, the Confederations Cup, and it was Pablo Aimar, Pablito versus Brazil. So if you look at the finals, 2007 Copa, no goals.
Crazy.
2014 World Cup, 15, 16 Copas, no goals. Di Maria came in clutch.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, the one in 2007 we lost badly 3-0 against Brazil. Then in the ones against Chile in penalty kicks. Uh, yeah, it was a karma from Argentina not being able to score in those finals. And at the same time, taking aside the one against Brazil, but the ones that Di Maria participated, we also didn't concede uh, goals. In the 2014, it was in extra time. But what I mean is that it wasn't finals that Argentina played really bad or worse than the opponent. It was just we were missing someone who can score.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's very true. That's very true. Argentina in those finals, bar maybe 2007 and even 2007, Riquelme hit the post in 2007. Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, 2014, Messi missed a chance. Higuain, obviously, Palacios in 2015, Higuain again. 2016, Higuain again. It was somebody, we needed somebody to score those goals, and Di Maria was the one that stepped up, and it was one of the veteran players. And up until that point, and myself included, a lot of us criticized Di Maria and heavily. No one ever really insulted him, or I didn't. When I say no one here really ever insulted Di Maria, but a lot of us criticized him, and no one expected him to really turn it around the way he did.
No, totally. And that win, how important was that win against a very complicated Brazil? I remember Neymar played that game so well. How important was the post pass for Di Maria and Di Maria's incredible finish again, another chip. And I don't know if you have it there, Roy, but what he said, I remember Di Maria sitting down in the grass after the game, crying, FaceTiming his parents, and just saying how difficult it was for him to get until this point, how much criticism he received. Because I remember since Diego Maradona as a coach, he received a lot of criticism. I remember one interview to Maradona saying how, yeah, fans, Argentinian journalists a lot of people really criticize Di Maria and didn't like him when he came to the national team. And here you can see like how Di Maria, after winning the 2021 Copa America, he said that one day the wall was going to break. It broke. I got hurt many times, but I continue to be here. I never gave up. That, like you taught me, I was always there, and it ended up happening.
That's it shows the perseverance, the determination by Di Maria to never want to give up and not wanting to give up. And you see the videos, especially after that Copa America, all the celebrations and everything. It's moving. I'm being honest. It's very emotional, and for someone that got a lot of criticism, for him to be the one that really turned it around, it's beautiful, and it could not have happened to anyone better than Di Maria, if I'm being honest, in the team. Um, and Pablo Miguel saying, I remember Di Maria playing as a central midfielder under Ancelotti, and he excelled. He did very well. Di Maria is always going to give 110%, no matter the match, no matter the opponent, always 110%. And David, welcome, David. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Di Maria, all-time living legend. Love you guys from Western Sydney, Australia. Much love to you, David. Thank you for joining us, my friend. You mentioned earlier, Osvaldo, how important was that goal versus Brazil? That goal versus Brazil obviously changed everything. 28 years since 1993, not winning a trophy. They win that, and then less than a year later, we get the Finalissima. And what a game!
What a game! Di Maria scored the second goal right before the halftime. If I'm not mistaken, it was a good control by Lautaro Martinez. Then a great pass to Di Maria, and again Di Maria and his classic finish over the goalkeeper, just to put Argentina 2-0 up to halftime. And then Argentina, I remember Argentina playing that game so well, not only in the score, but also the way we played our sub, then Dybala scoring the third goal. As you just said, after that game against Brazil, after that finally we won a final, it opened up for Argentina.
Everything changed. Yeah, absolutely. Everything changed. And he scored another chip goal. And he makes it look so easy. Him and Messi are the two that you kind of expect them to score a chip goal from anywhere, no matter the distance, no matter the speed, no matter the touch, the control, anything. And he played a great game in the Finalissima versus Italy. He deserved that goal. And without him, none of this happens, right? Without him, there's no Finalissima. And without him, there's absolutely no World Cup. I don't think Argentina win the World Cup if Argentina don't win and if he doesn't score in the Finalissima and in the Copa America.
Yeah, we're talking all about incredible goals, because if you go the one against Nigeria, a great chip, then Copa America, another great chip, the 3-0 against Italy, as we were saying, a great play by Lautaro, and then again the way he finished. And against France, not only again the way he chipped the ball over the goalkeeper just a little bit this time, but also that play. I have seen that video with different music, with different video effects. Yeah, and it's just, for me, was the best goal of the World Cup by far. I remember I was super mad when the FIFA didn't say that it was the best goal of the World Cup, and I think they put the one of Richarlison with Brazil. I just think that goal was the best by far.
Oh yeah, let Brazil, let Richarlison have that goal. That was the best goal of the World Cup for me. One of the best goals ever at a World Cup. And I will argue, I know a lot of people will say Brazil in 1970, but I'll go as far as saying this was the best goal in a World Cup final ever. That's how good that was. When you consider the opponent, when you consider it was essentially, except for Messi, it was all one touch passing. And then you get Di Maria with the chip. Well, yeah, I guess we could call it a chip, a little bit over Hugo Lloris. And what a goal, what a player. We saw the emotions afterwards. He was crying, he was in tears. I remember the next day watching that, and I had tears running down my face. And that was the next day watching it. A great final, a great game by him. he made the news, or Scaloni made news right during that match when it was surprising that Di Maria was going to play on the left and not on the right. He won the penalty. Di Maria got tripped by Dembele. He won the penalty on the first goal. He scored the second goal. We saw the difference when Di Maria came off. We saw the effect that that had, and that let a lot of people say Otamendi let France back into the match, and I understand that point of view. But if Di Maria is there, Brazil, France sits back a little bit more, and in my opinion, that doesn't go to penalty kicks. Di Maria's value, his contributions to the national team can never, ever be underestimated.
Yeah.
Massive.
No, I agree, because yeah, we stay sometimes with that goal against France, which was incredible. But yeah, he generated the first penalty. Then he came off the field when Argentina was winning 2-0. And I remember that Scaloni, not only he was the news where he was doubting about putting him right or left, but the main news was that he was not gonna start. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and I even remember how then the Argentine journalist Gaston Edul said that Scaloni told him that Di Maria was gonna play, but he told this journalist not to say so, or to at least hide it for until the start of the match, as
yeah,
a way to make the French team and the coach think that Di Maria is not gonna play, And then he played in that left side. He was extremely dangerous against Comde, and it was incredible.
yeah. That was, it's true. You're right. More than anything, it was a surprise that he even started, because he didn't play versus Croatia. He was on the bench. He came on with maybe 10 or 15 minutes left versus the Netherlands in the quarterfinals. He wasn't playing much, and he was injured. And then to have the final that he had, it's a joke to and I mean this in a good way, obviously, but it's a joke, the final that he played. It's not a normal final. He was massive. He didn't play for most of the tournament, but his contributions when he did play, they were up there. They were up there with Messi. They were up there with Dibu. They were up there with Kuti, with De Paul, with everybody. Absolutely with everybody. Um, let's go through the chat a little bit. And just as we're going to go through them, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like button and make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notifications button, because we still have a lot of stuff coming up. The Cotif tournament, the under-20 tournament's going on. We're going to discuss a little bit about the Olympics, which are starting, and a lot more videos, a lot more content, so you don't want to miss a thing. Let's look at the chat. BC saying it tops the 1970 goal in the World Cup final by Carlos Alberto. I agree. I'm not gonna argue that. Di Maria is more impressive too, because it was a 34-year-old against 20-something defenders. That's another thing as well. Di Maria's age. I mean, everybody talks about Messi and his age, and absolutely, rightfully so. Di Maria is the same. I mean, Di Maria is a couple of months younger, right? Or less than a year younger than Messi. Vanun is saying, I don't think Messi and Di Maria are like Batman and Robin. It's more like Batman and Superman. I like that. That's a new one. Master Azar saying, I can't stop watching that goal in the World Cup final. Neither can I. Absolutely, neither can I. Calvin, welcome, Calvin. Calvin saying his defensive contributions as well. Dembele was completely shut down too. Fideo was great in both parts. He really was. I always, every now and then, every couple of weeks, or at least once a month, call me crazy, I always go back and I watch the World Cup final, or at least extended highlights. That first half, really, by Di Maria was great. His contributions overall, as Calvin said, both parts, offensive and defensive. Varun is talking about Di Maria and Real Madrid's letter. We're going to talk about that in a bit. We're absolutely going to talk about that. His goal there. Now, some big goals, a lot of goals. 6th all-time top scorer for Argentina.
Yes, he ties in that position with Gonzalo Higuain, with 31 goals, and then you have in the 5th position Diego Maradona with 32. Only one more than Angel Di Maria and Gonzalo Higuain. Then you have Crespo, Agüero, Batistuta, and finally Messi.
And I mean, if you look at those players, Maradona aside, of course, but I mean, Higuain was a number 9. Higuain was the goal scorer. Messi's Messi. Who was number 2, Osvaldo? I'm sorry?
Batistuta, Agüero, Crespo, all number 9s.
Batistuta, all number 9s. All number 9s. And Fideo did it. And Fideo was scoring big goals, really big goals. One goal that we didn't talk about, which is painful to talk about, but, versus France in 2018, what a great goal to bring Argentina into it. A very, very good goal.
Yeah, another important one, even though, of course, in that match we lost, we ended up losing, but we were losing 1-0, we were not playing well, and out of nowhere, he kicked it from range, and it was an incredible goal to put us 1-1.
Yeah, an incredible goal in a very difficult match at a team that needed that goal against a very good goalkeeper, against Hugo Lloris. And, again, another big, big moment by him, another big goal by him. 6th all-time behind, 4 number 9s or behind 3 number 9s in Bati, Agüero, and Higuain, and behind only Messi and Maradona. That's an accomplishment. For somebody that's not a striker, that's an accomplishment. I truly, truly believe that. Then another goal, another big goal, and this is up until 2021, this was probably one of the goals that I celebrated the most. The round of 16 versus Switzerland in extra time. What a goal.
Yeah, no, I still remember it. It was such a difficult match against such a difficult team. Yeah, with 2 minutes away of going to penalty kicks, Messi passed it to Di Maria, and Di Maria with that finish. I agree with you. I celebrated that goal so much.
Oh yeah, I lost my voice after that goal for a couple of days, and I believe Di Maria had, I want to say, 10 or 11 shots on goal. I don't know if it was on goal, but 10 or 11 shots in that match.
I didn't remember that.
And yeah. He really had a lot. Depending on who you talk to, they're either going to tell you Di Maria had a great game or a not so good game. But he came up clutch again. And another big contribution, because as you mentioned, that was a very good Switzerland side, a very complicated Switzerland side. They're never an easy team to play against. We saw it at the Euros a couple of years ago versus France. They eliminated France, at the time the reigning World Cup champions. They took England to their limits this time in the Euros as well. So they're a very difficult match. Di Maria able to unlock them with a great assist by Messi, of course. It has to be said. Truly a very, very good assist. And another big goal by him.
No, it's very interesting how we always talk about Di Maria and his goal in the finals, but when we go through those tournaments, we realize that he scored also in certain moments, in certain matches that were not finals, but they were still super important. We talk about the Olympics. We kind of forgot about the goal in the extra time against the Netherlands in 2008. We were talking about the goal, with Switzerland, and the goal against France. We sometimes forget about all those goals that make him clutch in those important moments.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's everything that he does is overshadowed by his goals in the finals. But as you mentioned, he scored some big goals. I remember in the 2007 Under-20 World Cup versus Chile, I believe it was the semifinals. Di Maria scored. He scored the first goal of the match, I believe. The first goal of the match against them as well. And that was a semifinal match versus Chile. I don't believe he played in the final. I think he was out due to injury. But he's been doing it. He's been doing it since the under-20 level. He's made for the big games.
Yeah. And he had that problem of at some moments of his career that he missed a couple of finals with Argentina because of injuries, because of one thing or the other. In that 2014, he received a letter from Real Madrid in the final saying that he shouldn't play. If I'm not mistaken, he got injured against Belgium in the quarterfinals, and then he was reaching the final in not the best way. He wanted to play that final so badly, and he received a letter from Real Madrid saying that he basically can't play the final, and I remember, I don't know if it was him or Sabella saying how Di Maria went to Sabella crying, and he was like, I don't care about this letter, just put me in, let me how do you say when you get like infiltrated, when you know what I mean, when you even you're injured, they will
Oh, inject you, yeah, like painkillers.
Yes,
Painkillers.
yes. But well, in the end, he didn't play that final,
Um,
and yeah, it was a hard one.
that was definitely a hard one. To this day, I'll bring up Master Azar's comment. Imagine if Di Maria played in 2014 final, it would have been a different result. And as crazy as this sounds, I think if he plays that final, Argentina wins, and I think Argentina goes on to win the two Copa finals in 2015 and 2016. I think it would have had that effect. Uh, but yeah, no, that letter, when news came out that he received that letter, because a bit of context maybe for those unaware, for those maybe that forgot. Di Maria had just won the Champions League with Real Madrid. He was voted man of the match in the final versus Atletico, but he wasn't selling enough shirts for Madrid, and they wanted to get rid of him. And he was going to Manchester United, and that's why they got the letter saying, "Don't play. If you play, we're going to take you to court," because they didn't want Di Maria to play. Because if he does, there was a chance it would aggravate the injury and make it worse, and then if that happens, then they can't sell him, right? So for them, it was all about money, and for Di Maria, it's never about the money. It's never about that. It's always about the national team itself. And there's the one of the graphics that you had sent me, Osvaldo. I feel like it's a very good time maybe to bring it up. It's a comment, or it's a quote rather, excuse me, from Di Maria. I'll bring this up here.
Yeah, I
And
think it was from September of 2020.
was it this one?
Yeah, I think first one is the other one. You can read it in any
Yeah.
order. That one is, yeah, in September of 2020, in an interview with ESPN, if I'm not mistaken, he was saying that you work at the club to be on the national team. You give your life to be able to wear the light blue and white jersey. You leave your family. You leave everything. Whenever I do things at the club level, I only think about having another chance in the national team.
There you go. And then there was this one as well in September 2020, where he says, I have friends who tell me, go have a coffee in front of the Eiffel Tower, but I tell them I prefer to be insulted by 45 million people and play with the national team shirt. So,
Yeah, because we're talking in a time in 2020 where him and most of the players from the Argentina national team were being criticized very harshly.
yeah,
Uh, it was the moment where those three finals that we played 2014, 2015, 2016, more than value, it was criticized how we didn't win it, and how not how we were able to reach those finals, but how we didn't
we
win it
lost.
basically. And especially after 2018, when we always talk about it, how disaster was that World Cup with Sampaoli. Then in that World Cup also some historics like Mascherano receive a lot of criticism. um, and yeah, and Di Maria was suffering that so much, and as he's saying, his friends, maybe his family, was saying he was by then playing in PSG. He was telling him, you know what, if they insult you, if they don't value the way you should be valued because of making Argentina reach all these finals, then just don't go.
Yeah,
And there's something strong in him, something that since he was a kid he always dreamed about playing with the national team. He loves Argentina. I think we also talk a little bit about how he wanted to come back to Rosario Central, his beloved club. Then for different reasons he was not able to come, but he loves Argentina and he loves the national team. No matter what, he wouldn't let millions of people. It doesn't
no,
matter the number. Like let that dream uh, down for you.
go away. Yeah. No, definitely. And to add even more to what you just said, that quote from September 2020, that was also a time where Di Maria was not really starting for Argentina. He was in and out of the team. When he was there, he was not always starting. It was mostly Nicolas Gonzalez, whether it was the Copa America or the World Cup qualifiers. Nicolas Gonzalez was starting ahead of Di Maria, and it wasn't until the Copa America final versus Brazil where Di Maria started, and then that changed a lot. But that shows you his mindset. He could have easily said, you know what, forget about it. I'm done. I can't do this. I retire, type of thing. Similarly, and I'm not hating on him or anything, but similar to someone like maybe Higuain, Gonzalo Higuain took a lot of hatred for different reasons, of course, and he ended up retiring from the national team after 2018. Di Maria didn't. he kept going, same as Messi. He kept going, and the dream was always there, and the dream became a reality, and then some. We're talking a World Cup, two Copas America, a Finalissima. That's a great achievement. Also being named player of the match in the Copa America final as well at 36 to do that. That's insane. That's insane. It's not normal. And Johnny Era, yes, yes. Make sure to hit that like button, everybody. And if you're not watching us live and you're watching us on repeat, let us know down in the comments. What is your favorite Di Maria goal or Di Maria moment? And actually, you know what? I'm gonna throw that over to the chat, and I'll throw it over to you as well, Osvaldo. What was what's that maybe Di Maria goal or Di Maria moment that maybe you always kind of go back to, or maybe what's your favorite one? I know it's difficult, but if you could maybe narrow it down to one.
Yeah, it is. I think the easiest one to stay with is the final against France. Not specifically because of the finish of Di Maria, which was incredible, but all the play. But if I have to stay with a goal that shows the quality of a player that Di Maria is, uh, I think I'll stay there with the one against Brazil because of how important that was. Again, one of the goals that I celebrated the most, and one of the finals that I celebrated the most. But also, even that goal against France, I know we didn't win. It wasn't the final, but in that goal, he shows the quality that just a single player can make. Because again, it was a match where Argentina was not generating a single occasion. France was more close to score a second one that has to even get close to the box. And out of nowhere, he kicked the ball incredibly and beat an incredible goalkeeper like Lloris.
Yeah, it's same sentiments as you. I truly think that there are different kinds of goals. The one versus Brazil is the one that started it all, in my opinion, in terms of really getting the ball going. And that was a chip against Ederson. The one versus France was from distance, and like you said, Argentina was not generating any chance. And then in the final at 1-0 to finish it off and to finish it the way he did. It's difficult to pick just one. I'm gonna go to the chat. It'll give me time to maybe think a little bit to be able to pick one. Johnny saying the goal versus Brazil in the Copa America final as it started this whole madness. David saying the golazo against Brazil, Copa America 2021. It started the dynasty. This one, the celebration in 2018. Yeah, that I remember. That I remember. It's just, it's too bad that 2018 ended the way it did. If I had to pick, the one I celebrated the most was probably the World Cup final, just because it is the World Cup final. But the one that I have maybe that attachment to, or I don't know, it might be the Copa America, believe it or not. Just because it's the one that started it all, and it was 1-0 at the Maracanã.
Yeah, and you're not even mentioning the one that you said that at some point you celebrated the most. That was the one against
Switzerland. That's another one. That's another one.
There's so many.
That goal it brought Argentina to the quarterfinals, and it was a very difficult match. And it maybe doesn't rank as high as the others because it wasn't the final, right? It was a round of 16, but it was extra time, and it was a difficult match. It's so tough to rank these. It really, really is difficult to rank these. Let's get to the chat a little bit. Rian and Rihanna, good morning. Good morning to you, my friend. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. And yeah, it's difficult to pick, but what a career. Honestly, truly, what a career. Overall, an under-20 World Cup, Olympic gold medal, a World Cup, a Finalissima, and two Copas America titles. And what a way to finish your career with the national team.
No, totally. And there's some rumors, even Scaloni mentioned a little bit, how they might want Di Maria to have a farewell at his country, at Argentina, maybe in a qualifier game. The truth is that he says that he doesn't want to play anymore, and that's for sure. Maybe some players joke around saying that, well, let's try to convince him to play one more tournament and one more tournament. the truth is that it seems that Di Maria is not gonna continue playing, of course, with the national team. But we'll see if he at least plays a couple of minutes, maybe in one of the qualifier games at home, or maybe if Scaloni just take him, does the farewell, and then Di Maria doesn't even play. We'll see. But I agree with you. What an ending to an incredible career at the national team.
Yeah. In my opinion, to kind of, I mean, Johnny's bringing it up. We spoke about this earlier. Johnny, thank you for joining us. I know maybe you joined us a little bit late. We said easily top five. Easily top five. For me, maybe top three. Osvaldo, at least top five for sure. It depends on, who you want to include. You have Batistuta as well. Definitely Maradona and Messi have to be 1 and 2, whichever order you want to put them in. They have to be the top two, and the rest, I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's very
because
much
it's true that we talk about how important Di Maria was in the national team in these key moments. But then, yeah, if you talk about Kempes in 1978, and
yeah.
he also scored goals in really decisive moments. So it's difficult to stay with one or the other. It's also true that Di Maria was able to get Argentina to a final in 2014. I don't
Yeah.
think Tevez was able. He was only able to, well, not only, but you know what I mean, in 1978. So yeah, if you do the math, maybe you would say, oh, Di Maria, but just because of details, you know.
Yeah, no. Of course, I get it. I get it when you're going to find details. Let's not forget Passarella, 2 World Cups in '78 and '86. Even though technically didn't play in '86, but still there, still counts. Didn't have a big of a role as in '78. Um, Calvin, I love this. Definitely, yes. Legend in all sense of the word, in every sense of the word. Gave everything for the shirt. He will be missed. That's going to be a big one. We all talk about Messi and what's going to happen when he steps aside. Whoever picks up Di Maria's role, and I don't think it's going to be just one person. They have some big shoes to fill, whether that's Sule or Garnacho or Nicolas Gonzalez or Luca Romero or whoever it is. Um, we're going to miss Di Maria for sure
Yeah,
with the national team.
yeah. It will for sure be a mistake if we try to ask these players like Sole, these young players like Sole and Luca Romero, to score as many goals in key moments as Di Maria did. I think that's something that is
Unfair.
almost impossible. Yeah, almost impossible to repeat. And in a way, as a collective team, that I think Scaloni is working on that, and he has been doing an incredible job. You can replace him more as a group, as a team, rather than with one or two players.
No, exactly that. The same thing when Messi's not there, right? It's the collective effort. The team plays as a team, as a team. And everything. His first trophy with the national team was the Under 20 World Cup. After that, it was the Olympics. And talking about the Olympics, I know we spoke about Di Maria a lot. Talking about the Olympics, we have the Olympic Games that are starting in less than 24 hours. Argentina plays Morocco in the first game. The three overage players are Nicolas Otamendi, Julian Alvarez, and Geronimo Rulli. Otamendi is going to be the captain. According to reports, Otamendi, Alvarez, and Rulli will start for Argentina. Osvaldo, what maybe we could talk a little bit about the starting 11. What do you think of this team? Expectations? What do you think?
We have a great team. We have great players. We'll see how Mascherano is able to give this team a good collective play because we have the names. But we've seen it. We know how football is in terms of you can have great names like England in the Euros, but then if you don't make them play in a certain way, if you don't give them a structure to play on it, then even if you have the best names, you might be able not to advance in the tournament. So I think that Mascherano has a long way to work on that. But yeah, if you look at the names and at the starting lineup with Julian Alvarez and Beltran, Thiago Almada, who is already a World Cup champion, we have great names. We recently lost against Guinea. Is that how you say it in English? Guinea?
Yeah, Guinea.
Guinea. 1-0, if I'm not mistaken. It's a friendly match. I know that most of the players that are gonna start tomorrow were the ones that play in that game. But yeah, we can compare a friendly game to the Olympics. Hopefully, this team is able to go from less to more in terms of how how they play. And tomorrow, yeah, it's an important match against Morocco, who was Hakimi. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think that we have really really good names.
No, Argentina have good names. Argentina have good names that are not even at the tournament because the clubs are not, the clubs are not letting them. But you're talking about. I guess it's fair to say Argentina have four World Cup winners. They have Alvarez, Otamendi, Rulli, and Thiago Almada. So four World Cup winners, four players that have the experience. Um, Argentina drawn in Group B with Morocco, Iraq, and Ukraine. So first game versus Morocco, second game versus Iraq, third game versus Ukraine, all in a span of about 6 days, July 24th, July 27th, and July 30th. Um, you know, Looking at the lineup, what's being unofficially reported: Rulli's the goalkeeper, Garcia, Di Cesare, Otamendi, and Soler. Then in midfield we have Almada, Medina, Getse of Olympiacos, Zenon, and then up front we have Julian Alvarez and Beltran as well. So on paper, a very good team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, in that midfield, even if you don't have Santiago Jesse, who was recently champion of the Conference League, right? He won the
Yeah,
Conference League
UEFA Conference League with Olympiacos.
with Olympiacos. You can have a player like Eki Fernandez. That midfield, I'm a big Boca Juniors fan. You have Medina, Senon, maybe Eki, and they're really good players. And then, yeah, Thiago Almada, a World Cup champion. Then Otamendi, who, yeah, he's in the last chapters of his career, but he
Yeah.
will give the team a lot of experience.
Definitely, definitely, and Geronimo Rulli as well. This is the second time he participates in the Olympics for Argentina. He was a starting goalkeeper in 2016, and that was a disaster off the pitch, and that had nothing to do with the coach. That was the federation, but that team was destined for failure. But he was part of that team, so he's part of this one. Otamendi, as you said, it's going to be interesting to see how Otamendi deals with the fatigue because he has not had a day off, no vacation for him, and how he deals with the pace, the speed of the opponents, of the younger opponents that are maybe half his age even. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Argentina, very very good team, at least on paper. Mixed memorabilia saying a good balance from Rulli, Otamendi, and Alvarez, a good core, but I'm not sure about Mascherano as manager. I feel like that's the big doubt for most Argentina fans. It is Mascherano as the coach, and Rihanna and Rihanna. Osvaldo, tell Iki not to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that it's the best decision of Eki Fernandez. Per reports, he would be moving from Boca Juniors to a team from Saudi Arabia. We understand that the money in this case is can be very important, and I understand that. Hopefully, he won't stay there longer, very long, and he can then move to an European team. Well, like kind of like Alan Varela did after he left Boca, he went to Porto. The truth is that he has maybe the same or even more potential than Alan Varela. So that's why it's kind of um, not so good when you hear that he's going to a Saudi Arabia team.
Yeah, it ultimately a lot of it is money and money talks, and maybe he's thinking he can sacrifice, what is it, 5-year contract? Maybe he thinks he can sacrifice 5 years of his playing career to make as much money as possible as he can, and then then maybe he can make the jump over to Europe if he
Yeah.
wants. Uh, I'm sure obviously money is the deciding factor, but who knows? Who knows what could happen? That deal might not end up happening for all we know, and for all we know, he could end up going to Saudi Arabia. But a very good team, and he's a very good player.
Yeah, and even though, yeah, the reports are that he's gonna sign a 5-year contract, you know how in football this is. Maybe he just stay 1 year and another team from Europe wants to buy him,
Yeah,
and yeah, you never know how that goes. The Saudi Arabia league is growing little by little. I still don't think that it's at the level of any European
not yet.
league, but they have some good players. They have some good players. We're starting to see some players from the Saudi Arabia league being called up for the national team of different countries.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Eki Fernandez continues his career.
Yeah, we'll see what gives. He's not the first Argentine player, and let's not forget actually Johnny Eras mentioning Echeverri is going to be on the bench as well. Good option to have for Argentina. Manuel Lanzini also went to Al Jazeera after River, and he had a good career. There's also, I believe, there's a Palacios, so someone playing in not in Saudi Arabia, but in the Gulf, I believe in Abu Dhabi. Another Argentine, he played for River Plate. I can't remember his name right now. He's there as well. There's a lot. There's the Lanzini deal. This was what 2012, 2013, I think, and he ended up going to, I want to say, Fluminense afterwards for Lanzini. He ended up going to Brazil. He played well. So these things do happen. We don't know what's gonna happen if he ends up playing in Saudi Arabia or not. Um, Brazil have their biggest superstar, Neymar, or maybe their second biggest after Vinicius, playing in Saudi as well. So we'll see what gives when it comes to that. I guess maybe we can finish things off. One last question with from David. If you had a choice of any other three older age players, who would it be? I would probably still go with Julian Alvarez, if I'm being honest. If it were up to me, I'd have Alvarez, Dibu, and I don't know about a third, maybe Kuti. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Matias, that's it.
I agree. I think that in the midfield position we have good players. Uh, Julian Alvarez, Dibu, and then yeah, maybe even Licha or Cuti Romero. I
Licha.
kind of agree with you, Roy.
Yeah, I think it would have to be more of a defender just because the midfield is very, very stacked, I think, for Argentina. And thank you, Pablo Miguel. That would have driving me crazy. Yes, Matias Palacios. He's gone on into oblivion.
Yeah,
And
he played
that's
in
also
San Lorenzo.
play. Yeah, yeah. Was it? I said River. Didn't he play for
Yeah,
River?
I don't think he played for River. I think he played for San Lorenzo. Matias
Let me see.
Palacios. Maybe we're talking
Let me
about two
see.
different ones.
Let's
Ezequiel Palacios played for River, of course.
Ezekiel. Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. San Lorenzo. San Lorenzo. You're right. Yeah. I was mixing up the Palacios. Palacios is. But yeah. Um, so yeah, Argentina, a very, very stacked team. Julian, Dibu, and Senesi. Let's not forget Marco Senesi. That's another name we haven't spoken about since the start of the Copa America. Um, and I'm curious to see what we'll do. We'll talk about this in a separate video, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the Argentina players going into the new European season. Um, Someone like a Senesi, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen with Otamendi? Is he still going to get picked? Is he now no longer a starter? Is it Lisandro Martinez for Argentina? There's a lot. There's some interesting
Yeah,
stuff coming up.
you know who would I have taken over 23 in the
Yeah.
national team? Paulo Dybala, who didn't play the Copa America.
Dybala, yeah. It's
Yeah,
true. The Another player that we've kind of not forgotten about, but we haven't really mentioned since the start of the Copa Americas. Paulo
yeah,
Dybala. How many teams would kill to have a Dybala with them?
I know. He got
And
married yesterday. Yesterday or the day before?
yes,
2 days.
the day before, I think. The day before, I think it was Sunday.
I would gonna do a separate video talking about the wedding and the looks of
Of
the.
course, of
We should
course.
do.
We'll talk about the looks of the players who were invited. I know De Paul was there, and I think there's a couple of 5 or 6 Argentina players that were there. Johnny's saying he's busy getting married. Good pick, yeah, definitely a good pick for Dybala. I forgot about him. I absolutely forgot. But yeah, so that's the Olympics coming up. Argentina in terms of the Cotif tournament, they've won 2 matches. The first one versus ABH Brazil, the second one versus Levante. That's an under 20 tournament. Diego Placente is the coach. Second match just took place a couple of hours ago, and we are covering that over on mundoalbiceleste.com. And the Olympics start tomorrow in less than 24 hours, actually in less than 12 hours, even in about 10 hours time. Argentina versus Morocco, opening game, Group B at the Olympics. Alvarez set to start, Otamendi, Rulli as well, Thiago Almada. That's 4 World Cup champions in the team. And we're going to talk all about that. We'll probably end up doing a match review or a live discussion, I think, Osvaldo, after the game, maybe Thursday or so. We can maybe talk about that if everybody wants to join in, of course. And yeah, final thoughts, Osvaldo, before we close things up.
Now excited for tomorrow's game. Hopefully,
Yeah.
as we were talking, Mascherano is able to find a good game in Argentina. We have the players, we have the names to make Argentina go all the way and at least until the semifinals. So let's hope for the best and let's start tomorrow the best way.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Let's hope so. The Olympics mean a lot. I think for a lot of South Americans, a lot of maybe non-European teams or non-European countries, the Olympics does mean a lot. I always valued it so much. I celebrated in 2004. I celebrated in 2008. I'll celebrate every single Olympic game, goal, anything for Argentina. So very much hoping Argentina can get the win versus Morocco. I think they have the players for it, but football is not won on pen and paper. You got to play
Yeah.
to see what happens there.
Yeah, we should do it for Julian so he can finish football at the
There you
age of
go.
24.
Julian Alvarez will now be able to retire at 24 with
Yeah.
that's a ridiculous career already for his age. For his age, and Johnny, there you go. There's a little joke to close things up. Uruguay is still celebrating the Olympic medals as World Cups. As World Cups, yeah, that's why they have the 4 stars, and it's a whole other thing. But I do want to say a big thank you to Osvaldo. A big thank you to everybody as well for joining us, talking about Angel Di Maria's career with the Argentina national team, talking about the Olympic Games for Argentina. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit that notifications button to be the first person notified as soon as a new video drops. Thank you once more, everybody. My name is Roy Nemer. This is Osvaldo Godoy of Mundo Albiceleste.com. Until next time, take care, everybody. Bye.